Hey guys, Colby here. Welcome back to another guide for the Raid Shadow Legends Guides and Graphics channel. We got Mishinagi here, who is the champion featured through this unique summoning event over for this weekend. If you did manage to get him, then definitely check this video out, since we'll be going through Mishinagi's skills, everything that there is in terms of gearing, his masteries, and of course a showcase of his damage and potential within Raid Shadow Legends. So if you're looking for the infographic featured at the thumbnail, then here it is. Have a look at those stats for Mishinagi. But if you want to see more, let's continue on with the video. Here is Mishinagi. He is a Shadow King legendary defense-based champion. Has a very strong A1 skill, which applies a HP burn debuff on one enemy with a 60% chance if you do manage to book him out fully for his A1 skill. A2 skill will have an chance to apply the decreased defense at a 75%, but if you book it out, that's a 100% chance. And also, if you do manage to land a hex debuff by either Mishinagi or another champion, then you will also have the chance to apply a decreased attack debuff on the enemy. So with the hex debuff on, you apply both decreased defense and decreased attack, which is a very strong combination for both doing more damage in raid but also receiving way less damage from enemies. Then finally, his A3 skill is a double hitting attack with a 3-turn cooldown when fully booked, which can remove buffs from enemies but also apply the hex debuff, which helps his A2 skill, and also his passive, which we'll have a look at right now. So his passive is Courser of Curses. Whenever an ally attacks an enemy under a hex debuff, this champion has a 50% chance to team up and join the allies attack. This works very well with multiple areas of the game to just ramp up your damage, with Mishinagi taking a attack out of turn to do more damage and also have that chance to apply the HP burn, since he will be attacking with this skill, Burning Bonds, his A1 default skill. And finally, Mishinagi has an aura ally defense boost by 30% in all battles. That is actually very strong in helping every one of your teams survive. And also, since Mishinagi is defensive based, this also boosts his own survivability and damage. In order to get the most out of Mishinagi, you do need to build him with a relentless set and of course a lot of damage and accuracy, in my opinion. Of course, if you do not have a relentless set, other sets can be there for the start of your journey into building Mishinagi, but of course eventually building him in relentless will allow him to have multiple chances over the course of the battle to get that extra turn, and extra turn means reducing his cooldown of his skills and also having more of those skills applied throughout the battle, either applying the decreased defense, decreased attack, doing a lot of damage, but also that hex, that buff removal. And with the hex on the target at most of the duration of the fight, you have of course more chances to use his passive to apply more and more damage to the enemies. So here is how Mishinagi is built for this account. It's not built with totally end game stats in mind, but it is built with a lot of his skill set into bringing Mishinagi into action. Okay, 4.2 thousand attack, over 200 speed, 100% crit, and 193 crit damage. Of course, if your gear allows, you can go and push higher and higher for both defense and crit damage, but also remember that high amounts of accuracy are crucial for Mishinagi to enhance his damage potential. 200 accuracy, I would say, is the minimum for Mishinagi if you're looking to put him into a team for the dungeons, but the majority of content in raid requires, I would say, 300 and higher if you're looking to do some end game such as Iron Twins, Sand Devil, the Hydras, and of course even the hard version of the Doom Tower, where about 330 is honestly the minimum requirement to apply any kind of debuff on enemies and also some of the bosses. In terms of overall gearing, you're looking for some specific stats when you're trying to get your crit rate to 100%, and of course your accuracy and speed to a good amount. You're looking for speed, you're looking for defense percent whenever it's available. Crit rate and crit damage also helps enhance your damage. So here we have the weapon with speed, crit damage, HP percent, and crit rate. You cannot roll defense percent on weapons. We do have crit damage, defense flat, speed, and attack. Ideally here we would have accuracy and maybe defense percent. Here we have a strong shield with a perception set featuring a boost to both your accuracy and your speed, defense percent, crit rate, crit damage, speed. This is a perfect item for Mishinagi. Crit rate on the gloves, but ideally you want to have crit damage with crit rate on the substat. If you don't have that, then crit rate will help you reach that 100% crit rate much quicker, which is the requirement, I would say, for all damage dealers that do not have another way to boost their own crit rate. And then defense percent on the chest piece with good stats on the substats. If you can get some speed, crit rate, and accuracy, that would be beneficial. And then speed boots are ideal if you're looking to get anything over 200 speed when you are lacking the speed substats on your other pieces, and also the speed glyphs. Looking at rings, amulets, and banners, you're looking for a defense ring with a defense percentage. If you manage to have some other rings like refresh accessories from the tag team arena, then definitely try those out instead, because it will help you reduce your cooldowns with that small percentage chance that the refresh accessories have. Then we're looking at the amulet. Ideally, you want to be looking at crit damage, but if you do not have that, go for a defense primary amulet with an accuracy substat, ideally to boost your accuracy to the required amount that you're looking for. And then finally, accuracy banner is pretty much required if you're looking to get your accuracy as high as 350 or 330 for the Hydras and for the hard Doom Tower. That is an ideal way to go. If you're not there yet, then over 200 accuracy is totally fine for Mishinagi, and how useful that can be in the battles. And then finally, for masteries, let's have a look at the masteries which are ideal for Mishinagi, since he's used for majority of PvE content and not so much for PvP. Then War Master is the way to go with Mishinagi, with that chance to do enemy max health damage for bosses and also normal enemies. This helps ramp up the damage and help you push through any kind of content within raid. You are looking for, honestly, the 5% crit, 10% crit damage. Then you go for Heart of Glory, especially if you have healers in your team. Life Drinker I found very useful in terms of keeping your champion alive, and then all the way down with additional boosting of Mishinagi's damage, and also Methodical, since he'll be using that A1, his default skill, multiple times throughout the battle. This will instantly boost his damage to 10%, that A1 skill. Then the support tree, I would say, is ideal, especially if you're looking for applying debuffs. If you have a speed tune team, then it's ideal to not use Arcane Celerity. But if you don't have one, then definitely use this one to boost your own Terminator, and you can then forgo either Single Out or Life Drinker over through the offense tree. Then Cycle of Magic is an amazing skill if you do not care about how your skills go throughout the fight and looking for that small chance to get the cooldown down of one random skill. And then also Lore of Steel really helps the Perception set give you a little bit of extra stats, but does not work in sets like the Relentless set. So have that in mind before going for Lore of Steel. And then finally, Sniper and Master Hexer are honestly the best masteries you can have for debuffing champions. Master Hexer, especially for that small chance to apply an extension for the duration of those debuffs. Let's say your decreased defense, decreased attack, and hex, that Mishinagi can apply, but also his HP burn, which has a 60% chance now with Sniper, becomes a 65% chance. So before we get to the actual showcase, let's have a look at the champion over on the website. Boom, click on Mishinagi here, and let's scroll down and see his usefulness in all areas. He gets a champion rating of a 68.5. Remember, guys, that this is for all areas of the game, and this changes accordingly with new areas being out, and we will try to update the tier list as time goes by, and even more hard dungeons are out for the game. So in overall, he's getting like a 75 on Arena, 83 Faction Wars, Tower at 67, Demon Lord at 58, and Hydra at 80, which I do think it's totally right. Hydra is one of the toughest PvP challenges for the game, and having a solid score in there is kind of hard, and him being a part of every single team, he cannot do it all on himself, but he does play a big role into helping you push through for Hydra and get a lot of damage, and that will be a part of the showcase for today. Then in terms of dungeons, yes, he's not used in many of the dungeons. I would say for Spider now, actually, with the hard mode dungeons out, this could potentially be a little bit higher than a 42. But remember, there's so many better champions for the Spider currently in the game that apply HP burns and all that. Then Dragon, Fire Knight, Ice Golem, and Iron Twins usefulness is right there. So that's it in terms of the website. I'll have the link down below for that as well. Let's go on with the actual showcase. Going into battle, let's have a look at how Mishinagi performs in the dungeons. Of course, he will not be the single damage dealer in a team. Ideally, you want to be running some damage dealers to help in terms of damage, since Mishinagi is both a support and a damage dealer. Support through his defense down and decrease attack, but also damage dealer since he does multiple AoE attacks, and also that A1, it really hits hard, especially if you manage to have a team that has a increased defense buff. If not, then that's totally fine, as long as you're running some damage dealers with, let's say, an increased attack buff and then some other damage dealers and a poisoner. The dragon should be a really easy dungeon to fight. So let's go in there and we'll see basically Mishinagi's skills in action. Everything else is just an added bonus, right? So here, let's have a look at Mishinagi right now. Got Trunda doing her hits. There's Mishinagi's defense down, and then we have Supremo Hain with the big burst because of the defense down and taking down the waves. So on the next one, Mishinagi will be applying that hex on every single one of the targets. Yep. And if you guys didn't know, Hex also has a very unique skill added to it. So if an enemy under Hex is attacked, then other enemies under Hex will also receive a portion of that attack. If it's an AoE attack, that they receive 10% of the damage. If it's a single target attack, then they receive 10% of the damage that that target received. And that is an amazing way to add on top of your either AoE skills or single target skills potential in terms of taking down the target as fast as possible. So you saw how quickly you can push through in terms of the Dragon 20, and this is the ideal way to use Mishinagi as not your sole damage dealer, but both as a support and damage dealer. With the Relentless set, he really gets those extra turns and helps reduce his cooldowns as much as possible. So here we took it down in about 1:13, of course. And we'll have a look next at the Hydra, which is of course something that not everybody will be able to do as quickly as possible the duration of their account. But the Hydra is a really difficult area of PvE, and Mishinagi shines in there, being one of the top champions you can actually have to use for any stage of the Hydra, going from normal all the way to the nightmare difficulty. In terms of usefulness for the Hydra, I would say that you need a pretty solid team for going in there and setting up your custom AI accordingly. Have in mind though that Hydra is one of the most difficult parts of the game, and not just any kind of team make things work. Let's have a look in there and see the potential of Mishinagi. What we need here is basically to stop the Head of Decay here from taking a turn. So we will try if we can provoke it, but it is very difficult, especially if your accuracy is low. The champions that apply do manage to apply a provoke skill. So let's put the hex on Tantra. We will try to apply a lot more debuffs and see if we can land 5 debuffs. Then maybe we could provoke here. And then we have Husk. Husk does have a provoke on his A1. And you see, by the way, Mishinagi getting all those extra turns and doing a lot more damage. Look at that. He hits for 12,000, and then that is translated all the other enemies. Then we have now the hexes. And have a look at what hex does for the Hydras, because it does translate into more damage to the enemies. So let's have a look here with the A2. Look at that. All of those extra pieces of damage coming in just because we have the hex on from Mishinagi. Then let's see his A2, which will be applying the decreased defense on everybody, but the decreased attack in only the targets with the hex, which unfortunately the Head of Wrath does not have a hex on currently. I believe we did a weak hit there, and that's why we couldn't land it. So now with a lot more debuffs there, champions like Kantra can provoke almost constantly and help our team carry on with what it was doing. But we need a decreased attack on that Head of Wrath before we do anything. Keep on attacking with our strong skills. Look at Mishinagi getting those extra turns, 28k, 30k, plus the HP burns that do 3% of all the other targets in terms of damage. It's insane for the Hydra. It doesn't do specifically 3% of their health. It does a set amount, but it's still a very strong skill. And just having a look at that, you would see in terms of the potential of Mishinagi's damage. I'll end this here, but You'll see that on 5 turns, just 5 turns. Let's see on how much damage Mishinagi did. He did 449,000 damage compared to Royal Guard's 476,000 damage. Royal Guard is an enemy max HP damaging champion, while Mishinagi is a support class damage champion. So throughout the fight, you'll see Mishinagi ramping up his damage and usefulness because of everything that he provides through his kit. So that was the video, guys, today for Mishinagi. Definitely check this champ out if you have it already. Please consider subscribing to the channel for more raid guides for champions and, of course, our famous infographics. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe again, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.